I mean, I've kind of went through like months where I was just couldn't really work. Like I was only doing like the bare minimum customer support, that kind of thing. But I feel like I'm just coming out of it now. Like yesterday, I went to my friend's workplace. Like she has an office in the city. They had a spare room. So I actually just went there and worked like the whole day. And it felt really great because I think sometimes when you're just by yourself at home, it's super hard to like get into the flow. And like with ADHD as well, it's just too many distractions. There's nobody watching over your shoulder to go, don't open YouTube. Whereas like if you're in an office, like there's just people around you. I didn't open YouTube once yesterday. I feel like that was my turning point. Like I've just started to get back into things.
Like a reassimilating kind of
Yeah, getting into the habit.
Yeah.
And just leaving the house, traveling into a workspace just felt good because I was moving, like I had momentum. Because if I don't have momentum at the start of the day, it's very hard. But if I start well, then it's easier for me to continue.
Yeah, it's that inertia thing. Like with ADHD, inertia is so huge. Like if you're not moving, it's, the couch lock. Like you're stuck to the couch and you cannot get up and move. Like that initial movement feels harder than anything else. But once you're actually in motion, it becomes a lot easier to kind of maintain that motion and build that momentum.
And if something pulls you in too, right? Where like if something external is like, okay, this needs to happen because someone else needs it, that can kind of be the wake up thing too to pull you out of that.
Yeah. And as soon as I start feeling behind, that feeling like actually prevents me from doing anything. Like if I feel like I'm behind in my day, it's very hard for me to like recover from that. Even if I start the day with something that's not related to the task that I need to do. So for example, say I get up and I go for a walk. That momentum, that inertia from the walk makes me feel like, okay, cool, I'm doing stuff. I'm ahead. I've got the day started. And that actually helps me do other things. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the actual task for me. It can be something else that makes me feel like I'm moving, like just traveling into work. Like I'm moving, I've got a head start, and I'll try and keep moving no matter what.
This is the ADHD Founders Podcast. We're already starting to talk about burnout and life events and like the crap that happens in life, but you have ADHD, but you have a business and you are then have to face actually getting stuff done when you have this whole new uphill battle of not only getting stuff done for your business, but actually taking care of yourself when kind of your world feels like it's upside down.
So much of it is just like this mental head game where you get stuck in a rut and then you just kind of have this repeating message that holds you in place. And it's so hard to like break out of that, especially when you get to some place where you're feeling that burnout. I think our brains are so good at finding that negative message to just get stuck on repeat and hear it over and over. And we just get stuck. You're stuck and you can't break out of it. And then it's so hard to see anything with any clarity. With everything is just fogged by the couch lock, the lack of any movement, and feeling like I'm never going to move again. I'm so stuck in this place. Like, how do I get out of it? It kind of has, I feel like it has a lot of connection with like in depression, where you're just like stuck in this and there's nothing obvious that's like going to break you out of it. You just kind of have to travel through it and then hoping to like try and find that other side of it.
And like an ADHD paralysis.
Yeah.
And you're not aware, like you're not like, I'm feeling like this because of this and this. And then if I get, like you can't look at it rationally. Do you have an example, Jesse, of like something that has brought you there and how you clawed out of it?
I feel like I'm often, because I have ADHD, I feel like I often like I'm often adding things to my plate. So which I call like juggling chainsaws. And I feel like I'm always trying to keep this like tricky balance of like doing enough things that excites my brain that I can keep doing things. But if I do too many things, then I get overwhelmed and like all the chainsaws come crashing down, like everything. And that's when I hit that collapse where suddenly it feels like I can't do anything. Like the burnout got to me and then I can't do anything and everything collapses and I just feel kind of like all the things crashing around me and it feels impossible to get out of. I can't think of an exact moment when that happens, but I feel like so much of my almost day-to-day life is living in fear that that's going to happen. So I'm kind of like balancing, how do I add enough that I don't get bored? Because if I get bored, that's like, I don't know, kind of an anti-burnout that does the same thing, where then I just get stuck and I can't do anything. So I'm like, it's this weird, tricky balance of trying to have enough chainsaws in the air for it to be exciting to my brain.
And I mean, life events can be another thing that can have similar burnout effects. But I'm curious, Marie, because I know you just, well, I guess maybe you're in the middle of clawing yourself, like you were just talking about clawing yourself out of burnout. So can you think about what got you there and, I don't know, talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, firstly, like what Jesse said about the chainsaws really resonates because there's always like different things that you're juggling. But I definitely felt like I suddenly had too many chainsaws in the air. And it's the worst feeling. It's like, so with ADHD, so you know when you have that feeling where like there's a task that you don't want to do and you've been putting it off forever and you have this feeling like you kind of in your head, you have this thing going, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And you tell other people like, oh, I have this thing, but I just can't do it. And they don't understand why you can't do it. They're like, oh, it's so small, just do it. And you're like, I just can't do it. I can't explain it, but I can't do it. It's like that, which it tends to be like a specific moment, right? I can't do this. And then it goes away and then it comes back the next day. Oh, I can't do this. So if you take that and you take that moment and you just turn it on and it never stops, that's what burnout feels like to me. You're constantly stuck in this thing where you can't do anything. And it's the worst feeling ever. And I've had like some very large specific things that have happened in my life and in the business that have kind of got me into burnout. But like you said, Sharon, I feel like I'm just kind of coming out of that. But for me, I actually think it started about 18 months ago. So my dog passed away 18 months ago and he was like my whole world and he gave me a lot of routine. Like I'd just get up in the morning and, he gave me that momentum, that start to the day. And he needed to be fed like in the morning, at night, walked in the morning, at night. So he gave me all these different time kind of anchors at different points of the day and made me do stuff, right? You can't ignore him. He's going to be like, take me for a walk. So that was like the first thing that kind of the start of it. And then recently at the end of last year, so what are we in now? We're in April. So like about 4 months ago, there were a lot of changes to Llama Life. So the team was 3 people, me and 2 other people. And then I had to actually cut that team down just so the business could survive. So now it's just me. And that was a huge change for me. And there's just like a lot of pressure and a lot of stress and a lot of figuring out like, how can I do this by myself? And then the other thing I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to sell my house, which is a huge
that's not
deal.
stressful.
No,
there's
no
like, stress involved with that.
My God,
and no administrative tasks.
Oh my gosh,
Right.
Like
so much.
Actual worst for ADHD. I mean, it's
worst.
all papers and signing and little tasks.
I mean, yeah, other than in addition to all the financial stress as well, right?
Yes,
like, so part of the reason I'm trying to sell my house is just to relieve some of that financial pressure so I can do Llama Life because, there's no more investor money. So it's basically, if it doesn't generate enough revenue to cover the costs, like that comes out of my pocket. And so I need to make sure I have a buffer. And I wanted to, it's stressful not having a buffer. So that's kind of why I'm selling the house as well, just to make sure I have enough there just in case. But you're right. There's so much admin when you sell a house and it's not something you do every day. So you don't know how to do it, right? It's like you have to learn all the stuff that's involved and you're dealing with lawyers and accountants and real estate agents and people coming into your personal space to check out the property. And you have to keep things tidy. Oh my gosh, it's the worst ADHD nightmare. The house has to be pristine
at all times. Well, I mean,
all
a good panic cleaning is a favorite pastime of mine. So you probably get to panic clean every single day.
Yeah, I mean, there are set times for people to come and see it. It's usually like on a Saturday or something in the morning. So I know when they're going to come, but sometimes people might say, oh, can I just have a private appointment? Like, I just want to have a look at it tomorrow or today, this afternoon. And I'm like, it has to be at a certain level of cleanliness at all times. So it doesn't take me too much effort to get it pristine. And I'm just really bad at that. I'm really bad at that stuff, keeping things. Like I always say, I have mess, but it's organized mess. So I know in my mess where everything is.
Yes. I could reach into like a pile of stuff
Yeah,
and just
like it's there.
pull out the thing that I need. Yes.
Yeah, I've got that like that visual memory of like, oh, this is next to that one crumpled T-shirt in this room in the corner.
Yep.
Like I've got that locked in.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the old pink Post-it note that's on the ground. That it's
Right.
not, yeah, totally.
Yep.
And I've got one tip with that kind of mess thing. So I've figured this out over the years, is like sometimes when I'm trying to find something and I can't find it, I'll be looking somewhere and I can't find it. I'm like, oh, it's not there. That's weird. Where is it? So then when I do find it, I'll actually go and put it where I initially looked.
Yeah, because that's where your brain
My
wants
brain
it to be.
wants it to be in a certain place, and that's where I originally looked for it, and it wasn't there. So when I do find it, I'll put it there for next time, because that's kind of where I automatically am like going to find it. So sometimes my stuff is in really random places, but that's because that's where I kind of think maybe it's going to be.
Yeah, that makes sense. Your system's not fighting your brain. Like, may as well just go with it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so going back to the burnout, like I have like major life events happening from the business, the house, personal stuff with my dog. And look, that was a long time ago, right? That was 18 months ago with my dog, but it's still affecting me in a way because my routine's all messed up. Yeah, it kind of creeps up on you. And I totally got into burnout where I couldn't do anything, or I was doing kind of the bare minimum. But I've just started, I think I'm turning a corner because I had a really good day yesterday. I went into a friend's office and did heaps of work. I was just on a roll, and it felt really good to get out of the house and move. And I'm going to do that again today. I'm going to head into a WeWork. So we're home. I'm home now recording this with you guys, but I'm going to go to WeWork after and just move. And yeah.
I wonder if you could schedule that with that friend to like kind of be like, all right, on this calendar.
We're going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of days a week, go there, and then to my friend's office, and then a couple of days in WeWork, and probably one day at home, but just to get out of this rut.
Friends are good for that, like friends and colleagues, for pulling you out of rut if they understand you and know that you need that. That's great.
When you were talking about when your routine got all messed up, I'm very much going through that right now, having been laid off a few weeks ago. And just sort of like trying to navigate what I'm doing now. It's really hard figuring out when and where and how to use my time and energy, because I don't have this giant schedule that I used to have. And I'm already finding it really easy to bleed into like, oh, well, my kids are home, so maybe I could go do this with them. And then it's like throwing everything off because I don't have like a schedule dictated by somebody outside of me.
So you're picking up a lot of chainsaws kind of because you have this like paucity of time.
Right. And it becomes like, I think right now the tricky part is that I don't have the boundaries for time that I'm working are very loose boundaries. And so it's really easy to stretch them different ways and like wake up later and like finish work earlier. And, because my work is so just like whatever I think I should be maybe working towards right now, whether it's like doing stuff on WavePal, or whether it's like I am still doing some job hunting just to see if there might be an opportunity that makes sense. And then also navigating like building a course, which is probably where most of my energy is going right now, like figuring out like this big upcoming course launch. But yeah, it's so hard when that routine gets uprooted because you don't realize how much you're relying on a lot of the pieces of that routine until it goes away. It's like you hear a lot of people that maybe did okay, that had ADHD and maybe did okay in like college. And then they leave college and their life falls apart because now they don't have any of this routine that was really guiding them along and like allowing them to, it was like in my newsletter today, I talked about, using if else statements for like tricking yourself into getting stuff done. And a lot of times we develop those routines without knowing it. We're like, oh, once I do this thing, then I do that thing, and then I do that thing. But once that trigger goes away, then you don't do any of those things anymore, and it all kind of falls apart on you.
Right. And this topic is so relevant for us as founders because when the life crap happens, when the burnout happens, you are your own drummer. Like you're the one who has to decide to show up at work that day. And I, similar to Marie, I'm going to talk about it briefly, so don't cry. I lost my dog this month. And it was, when you're sad, like who's telling you to go to work? Or like who's telling you to do the analytics and the things that don't feel, the things that are already hard to do when you have ADHD, the administrative things. If you're just like sad, the energy doesn't come for those. The dopamine doesn't activate when it's already lacking. You can't pull it out of somewhere, and there's no external force because your colleagues are understanding that you're going through something. And when you run a startup, you can take as many days off as you want, guys. But if the more time you take off, the less your business grows. Like the less busy you are, the less your business is potentially thriving. And so there's this kind of horrible place you are where like you have this paralysis, that things need to get done, but no external forces telling you to do it. It's hard.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about the emotional stuff as well, because like you said, we're already so low on dopamine. And when you're in that grief stage, it's even lower. And like that level of dopamine is so important, and it's not something you can just manufacture. Like it's very hard to like fake it. You can't, like a lot of people say fake it till you make it and stuff, but it's very hard to fake the dopamine. Like how do you create that in yourself, like when you're feeling that much grief?
Right. And maybe a neurotypical person, I don't know, I'm not in their brain. Maybe the administrative stuff is like comforting and just something for them to kind of move through and get through the motions. But if like I'm already unable to do that stuff, what happens? And yeah, you're kind of in the routines, right? That had the systems that you've worked so hard to build. You're like, and so we had, he passed away, but there was a run up of a month and a half where he was declining rapidly in health. And he was like up all night barking and just stuff that he had never done. So we have 2 kids and, a dog that wouldn't sleep through the night, which is something I never thought I'd go through. I also never thought I would love a pet this much. Like that was a new thing to me. I wouldn't have expected the grief to hit me like it did. But you are going from this place where you don't have sleep. I feel like I'm still, by the way, like needing to earn some of that sleep back. And then you lose something. And so you're like, there's all these, and then there's stress from the business. You have everything coming in these different directions. And I know I was thinking and I was searching, like, has anyone studied grief plus ADHD? Because I think it feels more complex. I mean, it's hard for everyone. I would never try to diminish anyone's loss. But yeah, there's something that I just have felt like, whoa, how will I get back? Like at the moments, you actually can't picture yourself doing your like, okay, Pilates, and then do the analytics, and because no one's banging at my door asking me to do it. I could just lay in bed all day.
Yeah. Well, first, obviously, so sorry to hear that. That's rough. I haven't had pets in a long time, but I did, lost pets when I was younger, and it's just devastating. It's like losing part of the family. And I think part of it too, when you have ADHD, I haven't specifically kind of studied ADHD and grief, but I do think like the way we perceive time is, I think, a big part of it, because we're really so focused on kind of like the now. We're not able to look into the future that well, which makes it difficult as a founder. You can't drum up the motivation or the energy or whatever it is to work on things that are going to matter in 6 months when the now is so big, when there's something so big in the now that it's really hard to like ignore the feelings that you're kind of going through now. And that just really like dominates your headspace. And so I think that becomes really difficult. And especially as like founders and entrepreneurs, like we're already wearing so many different hats, like having to do all the different pieces. It just feels like, something like that shows up and then all the chainsaws shatter to the ground, and then you're like, I don't even know what to pick up right now. It's just such a disaster, and nothing feels as important as kind of what you're going through. And so it becomes really difficult to see, where would I even start? Because right now I just see like 30 chainsaws that crash on the ground. It's the whole thing where you're like in the coffee shop and there's like a million things happening and you can't tell what you should be focusing on, because our brains are wired to just like pick up all the things at once. You're like overwhelmed with the possibilities and none of them feel like the obvious next move.
Or like they matter.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, not to get dark, but I mean, in that moment, in those like high grief moments, it's like, well, what matters more? Making a slideshow of pictures of my dog as a puppy? Or, I don't know, whatever thing you're doing, I will hyper focus on kind of that loss and reaching out to friends. And, like it's hard to not have that pull you over. And Maria, you obviously went through that.
I did. And like I echo everything.
Marie reached out. Marie was so supportive, you guys, and just reaching out to me. And I'm really grateful for you.
Yeah, I agree with everything Jesse said as well about the time, like now and not now. And it kind of almost feels like you can't see like you can't see sort of the end of it because you're just too much in the now. But I do think grief it's such a strange emotion. Like I never thought I could feel that much grief either. Like I didn't even know it was possible to feel that bad. But I do know, having gone through it, that it's important to feel it because there was some part of me that was resisting it and trying to get on with stuff and focus on the business and distract myself. But I think that makes it worse. Like the grief is there for a reason. Your body needs to go through it. And there's so many different stages. And what you said earlier, Sharon, about like the lead up to that event, not being able to sleep at night. I had a very similar thing. Like my dog kind of declined slowly. And there's also guilt associated with that because you're kind of, on one hand, you know that it's going to happen and you're kind of like, well, I feel guilty that I feel slightly relieved because it was going to happen and it was declining. So there's guilt on top of that, and you have to kind of go through it. And there's a reason that your body wants to feel that way. The human body is amazing. It's always trying to give us signals, whether that be like a physical signal, like, oh, I touched a hot stove, I feel pain, don't do that again, right? Grief is similar, but it's like, it's not a physical thing. It's like an internal thing where it's like, but your body is telling you, like, you need to feel this and you need to go through it to get back to your normal.
Right.
So I learned that it's there for a reason. And instead of fighting it, along with a lot of the other ADHD things that we tend to try and fight every day, like procrastination and stuff, we kind of have to go and work with our brain versus against it, or with how our body is wanting us to feel versus against it. So one of the best things that I did, and it took me too long to do this, is just to feel it, like just let myself feel it. And sometimes that means having a good cry, like a massive cry. And it doesn't matter what time of the day it is, like just if you feel like you need to do it, like there's a reason and it needs to come out. Letting myself actually feel it was the best thing I could have ever done. And I wish I kind of did it sooner, but I think everybody's on their own sort of schedule with that, right? Like you have to do it when it feels right for you.
I posted on my personal Instagram what happened, and Marie saw it there and reached out. And I actually am looking at our chat because one thing you said to me was, it's so hard losing a pet because some people don't understand the gravity of it, which I mean, I think that also, I mean, I know we're focusing on grief for pets for some reason. And I guess they're two examples of what's recently happened to us. But there is something also about that where I don't feel like it's as good of an excuse. Or there was something that was holding me back. And you saying that to me, Marie, unlocked that a lot for me, where I was like, you know what? But it is big for me. And people who know me well know that. And so I can be honest with them about like, I can't do this, or I don't want to plan a birthday party this month. Like and it's not because I don't feel like I deserve it. It's because I don't have space for it. And so I think that they're like, or my friend who is amazing, we used to go on walks together with my dog. And she was like, I bet it's hard for you to go on a walk. I'm like, yeah, it's beautiful weather this whole week and I haven't been able to go out and do it. And she's like, let me meet you. We'll go to a different neighborhood and we'll just get a walk, like just get it done. And so I think like in those moments where if you have friends, and whether they have ADHD or not, and they get you, sometimes like they can pull you out of it. Like Marie, for your burnout, your friend having you come to the office, or, I think that, and Jess, you have a co-founder in your venture, post layoff. And so you have maybe some, if you can kind of anchor, I think sometimes in an external thing, just a little bit, I think sometimes that can help pull you too.
Yeah, you said something in there too, just about the feeling like, basically feeling like almost like guilty, feeling the way that you actually feel. Like you almost feel like I don't deserve to be able to feel this way, or like I'm overreacting. Maybe that's more it. Like, and I think so much of that likely comes from growing up with ADHD. I know growing up with ADHD, I heard all the time, like, Jesse's too sensitive. Why is he so emotional? Like, why does he feel like things so much? He makes things seem bigger than they actually are and stuff like that. And so I feel like a lot of the time, myself and probably a lot of people with ADHD grew up feeling, or like literally hearing that the way you feel is wrong. Like that you're
that
you're experiencing it wrong somehow. And it becomes so hard to like, so what is the right level? How am I supposed to? Because all I know is how I feel, and I'm being told that that's wrong. And so I think
Or
that
that
just stays with you.
Your feelings aren't good excuses for not getting something done. Wow, Jesse. That hit me.
It's huge. Yeah,
I think that's right. Yeah.
It's like a societal norm. Like the death of a pet isn't as big as the death of a person. And the parallels, like you said, Jesse, with ADHD are huge. It's like being in a neurotypical world, like society says that you should feel one way. And why are you feeling like something so massive or something such a big task or such a big deal when it isn't, quote unquote, it isn't in society. So, yeah, there's huge parallels there. And I think the biggest message might be it's okay to feel that way because that's the way you feel. Like, you can't debate that. Like, you feel it. So, yes, you are going through that. It's about acknowledging that and figuring out within yourself how to go through it and how to deal with that. But there's no right or wrong way to feel it. It's how you are actually feeling.
And having I guess I'm still kind of in it. But like, I've tried to find small ways to show up or kind of create moments. I mean, and not to put a product plug in here, but I feel like all of us, some of our products are designed to actually help you through these moments, so I tried to lean into like, okay, I need to make sure if it pops in my mind, I'm just putting it in Shelpful. So it's there when I'm ready. It's going to ping me and ask me like, do you have, and then I like make sure the AI knows that what I'm going through. And so like, it's kind of like, do you have energy for this today? Or is this something you can do? All this kind of ties back to what we all build, which by the way, I think all of us invented at low points where we felt like, the world crashed down and you didn't have the tools to get through.
It's really funny you say about that product plug thing because I was saying to someone the other day. No, but it's so relevant. Like the other day I was saying to someone like, oh, my routine's just completely shot. I can't do this. And they're like, well, I know a product that you can use to help get back into a routine. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's so funny.
Have you tried this product called Llama Life, Marie? It helps you just tick through your tasks.
Because like sometimes I forget to use my own product and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, well, maybe I should get back into using my own thing. actually did help. But
I had to kind of remind myself of that. We still have ADHD. Like we still, sure, we made it, but I kind of set up my kitchen and I still have trouble finding stuff in it,
Right.
I don't, just because I made something doesn't mean I'm going to remember to use it when my brain's not firing and doing the things I needed to do.
I was struggling with trying to figure out my week. Like, what am I going to do this week? And I almost was like, I'm going to build a new product that's going to help me lay out my thing. I was like, no, Jesse, you've got too many chainsaws right now. Don't try to add in another thing. You've got a lot of priorities. But that was definitely where my brain went. I'm like, I could build a thing that's going to give me kind of the week view, the way that I want to see it, that it's going to help me structure.
It's the contradictory nature of ADHD. It's like you need routine, but you hate routine.
Yes.
And you don't want to have too many chainsaws, but you need chainsaws to keep it exciting. And it's like, what's finding that ideal balance,
And like to your point, Marie, about letting yourself feel the feelings. I mean, I think that there's also something to be said about, ADHD is a superpower, blah, blah, blah. But like letting a hyper focus take you away and just having that just give you a little energy. Like maybe you can't get pulled out by the normal stuff. But if you go into a rabbit hole about how to own a cannabis business in Oregon, then it just, it was a 30-minute thing that kind of just got me a little bit energized. And then, somehow I ended it back in my stuff eventually. So I feel like maybe even just giving yourself, to an extent, permission to just go on a side quest, just to give yourself like just some of that dopamine. Yeah, set a timer.
Yes, yeah.
It's bad advice that might hurt you.
It's great advice if you set a timer so that you don't get... Yeah.
Careful, yeah.
That's the only caveat is like, because we actually, I think we wrote a blog piece or a newsletter about this, but yeah, sometimes it's good to let yourself go on that rabbit hole or good to do something that you really want to do, even if it's off track, because your brain is telling you at that moment it needs dopamine. And if you keep fighting that, you're probably just going to procrastinate on the task you're doing or stare at your screen and try and do the task, but you're not doing it. So you've not done anything anyway. So sometimes I'm like, well, I'm going to go do that rabbit hole. So I get my dopamine because that's what my brain's obviously craving. But I got to set a timer because I've got to stop after a certain amount of time. And that is the key. But that is also the hardest bit because you have to stop. And I don't know if there's another way other than a timer. Maybe there's something else you could do that's not a timer, but something that will make you stop.
Right. Letting someone know, like, hey, ask me tomorrow if I'm still working on this.
Yeah. But I think there's like the point is like if your brain's really craving that, maybe let it have that.
Yeah.
Let it have that. But somehow you have to come back. And that's the tricky bit, like coming back. But that's kind of going with it versus fighting it.
And hey, as entrepreneurs, we get like side quests can become whole products. So like, I think that I like to justify these things in retrospect. But like, I think, sometimes you can kind of get on this thing and you find a little nugget that you actually maybe bring back to your product. And there's plenty of stories of huge businesses that started from actually like a side problem, like Discord. They were building a video game, but they didn't like the communication tools that were out there. So they kind of just built their own. And then that ended up being what became Discord, which is like a super, super popular communication tool. And so I feel like that's just one example that popped in my head, but side quests can benefit. So yeah, set a timer, check yourself, but those things can bring you out. I like that.
Awesome. Well, that's probably a good place to wrap up. So yeah, Sharon, why don't you go ahead and tell people where they can keep up with you?
Oh yeah. You can find me posting regularly on @Shelpful. Wait, what's so funny?
I just
the way you said it cracked me up. Sorry.
Okay, but
we need to say this.
You're like,
It's correct information. He's not laughing because it's wrong. So @Shelpful, SHELPFUL, mostly on Instagram, but TikTok as well, and @Shelpful.com. And that's it. Should I redo that one? It's fine. Shelpful.com? Shelpful.com question mark?
Perfect. All right, Marie, how about you?
You can probably the easiest way.
Why are we all sucking at this?
Wow.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think we should leave this in.
Okay. Probably the easiest place is just to go to the app stores, Google Play or the iOS App Store, and just search Llama Life. We should come up. Or you can go to the web, llamalife.co.
Awesome.
Jesse?
And you can find me online at ADHD Jesse on most of the social networks. And then my book and newsletter are both called Extra Focus. Just go to extrafocus.com and that's where everything is there. Oh, and obviously the app I'm building, WavePal, go to wavepal.app and you can sign up for, you can join the want list and hopefully get invited to that really soon. I think the energy we have going right now is because we were like in a really
sad,
really sad top. We were kind of like really in it. And now we're just like going to the other extreme right now.
I say leave all that in. But also you should follow us at ADHD_founders, which is this podcast social stuff. And we post some clips from the podcast, but also we have comment section there. So like comment and tell us what you want us to talk about, or if you want us to stop talking.
But maybe don't say that because we all have RSD.
RSD.
So.
Yeah, it'll make our posts do a lot better though.
That's true. We need to drum up a controversy somehow
yes.
so that we really get that engagement going.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, thank you, everyone.